Yo ho ho! Welcome to my first reading vlog of 2021. I am so happy to be back. This is going to be a really strange experience for me because I am really rusty. Like, I haven't filmed anything in probably more than 3 months at this point because I've been away finishing my degree. It's all said and done now. I submitted my last thing for the exhibition like 3 or 4 days ago, so I can officially get out of that college mentality headspace and just focus in on the things I love again, because I will say I haven't had the most productive reading year or year in general so far, because since January, I think what caused it is that I've just been having really bad burnout that I've never experienced before. But since January I've been on a downward spiral mood wise, and when that happens to me, I just stop caring about all the things that I love doing, and I hate that. I feel like that's the most insidious part of depression, is that you just it really forces you out of character. And now that I'm kind of over the worst of it and I can kind of focus on myself again and not be riddled with anxiety, I'm really looking forward to it. I feel like I'm not even going to know myself now over the next few weeks, once I kind of remember who I am again. So it's been it was difficult enough trying to keep up with posting content, but it got even worse when I just stopped reading and stopped caring about everything. I wasn't even caring about the assignments that I was handing in. So I get my results next Friday and I'm absolutely bricking it. I mean, I'm hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst, you know yourself. So I just want to kind of not think about that this weekend and, just focus on getting my Goodreads challenge in a better space, because it is bad. I believe I'm currently 11 books behind. I could be wrong, it could be more, I don't want to know, but I believe the last time I checked it's 11 books. So what I'm going to be reading this weekend. Okay, so I am going to be finishing off The Troop by Nick Cutter. I started reading this in February or March, I feel like it was ages ago, and I ended up just putting it down because I just wasn't drawn to pick it up. And it was just in that point where I was I don't care about anything, and I was picking up other books at the time as well, being maybe I'll gel more with this book, maybe it's just because I'm not in the right headspace to appreciate this. So I have 150 pages left of this. I have been taking notes when I was reading it previously, so I can just look over those and refresh myself if I need to. I don't feel like I really need to, though. I'm fairly aware of where I am in the story. So only 150 pages. I'm going to be polishing this off today, and then I hope to read The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion. So this is one that I've been kind of procrastinating on reading because I know that it's going to be a difficult subject matter. It's about Joan Didion's husband passing away, and I believe that her daughter is also really ill at the time, and it's just a very tumultuous year, and she documents it in here. And it's recommended for people, I've heard it recommended for people who are going through grief or who may be struggling with having lost loved ones. So I feel like this is going to be an incredibly raw read for me, and I'm not really one to pick up books that I know are going to make me emotional. I generally try to stay away from anything that will kind of upset me or even deeply move me or anything like that, just because I'm as much as I am a critical reader, there are times where I'm just yeah, I'm reading for fun, I don't want to feel real emotions, so I feel like this is going to be a rough one, but we'll get through it. And then finally I'm going to read The Great God Pan by Arthur Machen. So this is a short story collection. It's all based around witchcraft and the occult and potentially Satanism and all that kind of good stuff. So more horror, basically. I didn't even tell you what The Troop was about. The Troop's a horror novel too, but I'll get more into that later on, I suppose. But I'm really looking forward to this. I've heard nothing but good things about this. It's been recommended to me several times over the last 2 years or so. I've just seen more people tell me that I need to read this. So I'm going to read this. So I'll probably be reading this tomorrow because I probably won't get through all of these today. And then I'm also going to be rereading Tomie by Junji Ito. I'm probably not going to be documenting that in the vlog just because it is a reread and I'm taking notes on it, and I just don't think you'd need to see any footage of that. So yeah, that is what I'm going to be focusing on this weekend. I feel like, that's, a decent enough start to get my Goodreads back into shape. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this reading vlog, and let's get started. Here's my breakfast. So I decided to treat myself this morning and I made pancakes, and I've layered them with Nutella and topped it with Greek yogurt and honey, and then just put fruit over it, trying to be healthy. So I just polished off the troop there. It didn't take me very long because, like I said, I only had 150 pages to get through, and this isn't written in a very complex way. It's written in a way that realistically, when I'd started it, I probably could have binge read it in a couple of hours, because it's written like it wants you to continue to press on with it. It wants you to continue to find out what happens to these characters. But I think part of the reason why I kind of struggled with reading this, or struggled with like sticking to it over the last while, is that I didn't particularly care about any of the characters. I wasn't really emotionally invested in any of them. I didn't care what happens to them in the end. And I think that happens a lot with me with horror, where it's like I don't really care about the characters because I know that probably something awful is going to happen to them. I more so care about the horror elements, and that's what I'm really there for with horror novels. But yeah, like when I initially picked this up, I was unaware that it's about a group of Boy Scouts. I thought the troop referred to a troop of soldiers, and I think if I'd known it was about like kids, I probably wouldn't have picked it up, because you know me, I'm not a huge fan of books that focus on children or their stories or perspectives or anything like that. And funnily enough, I thought that the kids in this, they're all 14, but I thought that they were around like 10 or 11 based on how they talked and interacted with one another. So I was kind of surprised to learn that they were supposed to be 14. And like at that point I kind of gave them the pass, because I think we all know that 14 is unanimously like the worst age to ever exist at. So I was like, okay, I can kind of get on board with them now. But yeah, so this is the story about a Boy Scout troop who end up on this island because they're trying to complete certain tasks in order to receive certain badges, and they're with their scoutmaster, and it's just meant to be like, you know, in and out, like fairly straightforward, until this stranger shows up on the island who is visibly really, really ill and is seemingly endlessly hungry. And then all hell just completely just breaks loose, and it's a kind of, you know, a pandemic sort of story. So there was elements of this that I really liked, but the thing is that the reason why I liked them is because I felt that they were referencing other books that I'd previously enjoyed. So I got really strong vibes of Lord of the Flies from one particular scene. I got kind of vibes of The Body / Stand By Me, and towards the end of the novel I got really, really strong vibes of Junji Ito. There's one particular character, the one who says, yes. I don't care what what the inspiration for that character was. That whole scene, that was straight out of something like Junji Ito would come up with. And I loved it. Like I loved those kind of things. But again, I'm like, is that really fair to judge this book? Because like it's just reminding me of other stuff, and it's more so the influence of the other stuff that makes me enjoy this. So I kind of feel a bit like 50-50 about it. The way it was written too, so it's like you've got your main story, but there are interviews cut into different sections, like, you know, that divide up the chapters, and references to what's actually happening on the island, you know. And it kind of reminded me of Carrie by Stephen King, because it had the same sort of thing where it's like, you know, something bad has happened, you know, that there's like, based on these interviews and based on the like newspaper references and all that kind of thing, something bad happens to these boys. But there was 2 moments where I was really irritated by these particular interviews, because they kind of spoilt the next section of the book. And I was like, you know, maybe it could have been better off if some of these interviews had like been placed after those. Like, it just took away the element of surprise, I suppose. Another thing that was kind of difficult to read is that there's 2 particular scenes of animal abuse, and I've heard other people reference the animal abuse in this. So I didn't really know what to expect, because I think that that's what really stays with people after reading this. One was more so for the survival element of the troop, and then one was just completely and utterly sadistic, and that was definitely the harder one to read. I'd say that if you've read American Psycho, it's no worse than like the animal abuse that's like happens in that, or even if you've watched Don't Fuck with Cats. Like if you can get through that, you can get through this. It's just, you know, you just read it quickly, because it is, like, if you're very empathetic towards little animals and stuff, it is a hard one to read. But overall, yeah, I liked it. Like, you know me, I don't really read that much contemporary horror, so I didn't really know, like, I tend to stay away from contemporary horror because I'm just like, well, they haven't stood the test of time the way classic horror has, so, you know, is it really worth reading it? But, you know, it was fun for what it was. I really enjoyed some of the body horror, even though, like, it did gross me out, but there was moments where I was like, I know I'm supposed to be really, really grossed out by this, but the continuous reference to the endless hunger and, like, the emptiness that these characters were feeling once infected, I was like, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? I am feeling pretty peckish. And I was like, what's wrong with me? This is having the opposite effect on me. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's a very, like I said, it's a very quick read if, you know, if you're in the mood for reading. And if you're into body horror particularly, it's a good one to check out. And especially if you're into reading, like, sort of pandemic infection sort of storylines as well. Yeah. So those are my thoughts on The Troop, and I'm going to take a little bit of a break now, and then I'll crack on with the Year of Magical Thinking a little later on. So I can't tell if I'm having, like, a genuine boomer moment right now, but I'm on the Goodreads app. I re-downloaded it just to have it handy, I suppose, and I have finished reading the Year of Magical Thinking now, and I'm trying to, like, mark it as, like, I've marked it as read, and I went back in and I rated it, but it's not giving me the option to put in the date that it was read, so it's not contributing towards my challenge, so I'm going to have to go back in later on from my laptop and do it. But oh man, I'd actually be really miffed if you're going to be in the comments being like, oh no, you just click this. Oh, because I feel like I've been doing this for like the last 10 minutes trying to see, like, clicking on different things, and I just can't figure it out. So it might just be like timing out. God, you know you're getting old when you're timing out of the bloody Goodreads app. I'll get into my little review now. So this wasn't a particularly easy read. I ended up having to take a bit of a break halfway through, one because of the noise still ongoing, as you can probably hear. I was getting a bit, like, irritated by that, but this was quite overwhelming for me, especially in the first 2 chapters, and then again towards the end it kind of revved up my own kind of personal emotions and stuff. So it kind of reminded me of when you're in an atmosphere that's incredibly heavy and you just need to excuse yourself for fresh air or to have a cigarette in order to recenter yourself. You know, that's kind of how I felt. So I went out for a walk, came home, read a little bit more, decided to have a bath, and then I was able to polish this off. But I don't think this is a book for everyone, and I'm just going to say that, like, flat out. I very much had my critical thinking cap on while reading this, and though there's elements that really resonated with me and that I really appreciated about Didion's writing style and the certain techniques that she did, I don't think that it's going to be like a unanimous thing for everyone. But I can only speak from my own, like, experience with it, is that, like, first of all, I'll put a trigger warning because I'm going to start talking about death and stuff, so if you want to skip past that, go ahead. It'll be down in my description. So like I said, this is a story of, it's not a story, it's, you know, it's non-fiction. It's about Joan Didion's husband passing away. When her husband passed away, her daughter was in ICU, who was ill, like really, really ill. It wasn't estimated that she was going to make a recovery. So it was incredibly, you can imagine, it was an incredibly difficult, bleak period in her life going through this. And one of the things that she did in this that I thought was quite interesting is that if you've ever sat with someone after they've lost a loved one, this is a fairly unanimous thing. Like, they will talk you through it, and they'll talk you through it bit by bit by bit, every moment leading up to the death and the moments that happened afterwards. And they're not necessarily actually doing it for you, for your benefit, to fill you in on what happened. They're doing it because they need to make sense of it. Because those final moments and then the moments afterwards, they all have weight to it. And she did this in this multiple times, where she would go step by step by step, like minute by minute, of what led up to her husband having a heart attack and what happened afterwards. And each time it would be told with a little bit more detail. And I found this incredibly powerful. I found this incredibly effective and moving. But I think maybe other people might find it just kind of irritating. It felt like I was sitting there with her in real time when she was going through the motions of it. And it reminded me of like periods in my life, and you know, I've even done that to family, to friends and stuff too. So yeah, I thought that was quite an interesting I suppose detail about this. Another thing is that like Joan Didion does this quite a lot in like all of her works, but she has a tendency to reference certain years, and she usually will reference the main events or like big events that happened in those years. And I really like that because it kind of gives me a sense of time, and it makes me better able to picture what was happening that year, and just, you know, more of a sense of time. And I think that could come off as being over encumbered with like tidbits of information for people who aren't really a fan of that. But it's something that I've always enjoyed about Joan Didion's writing, is that she does do that. But like certain things about this did irritate me. There's kind of casual references to moving houses or moving countries, and how easy it is for herself and her family to do this. And it just, sometimes I found that it just read as kind of like this bougie upper class family who can seemingly do whatever they want and live as leisurely as they like. And I found those little aspects a tad bit grating, I will say. But I mean, aside from that, when we strip it down to like what it's a book about learning how to cope with grief, to learn how to cope with loss, and how you pick your life up afterwards. And it's safe to say that Joan Didion had a lot going on in that one particular year, especially with her daughter in and out of hospital. I got misty-eyed like in the first 2 chapters. I thought it was quite difficult to get through. And, you know, I had to take a moment for myself to be like, this isn't about you. You know, like take your feelings and park them at the door, and read this for what it is. Don't start like, you know, getting distracted and letting your mind wander off to times where you've had a loss and stuff, because it's not. Though I think this could be a book that would be great for people who are coping with loss. I feel like if you were to give it to someone who may be a bit more cut and dry about things, or black and white about things, they may not actually appreciate this. You know, I think you have to be a bit of a sentimental person to be able to resonate with this 100%. So like, I think that's why I kind of got on quite well with it. Like, I rated it 4 stars just because I did find it really moving. And it, at times, and I know this sounds horribly cliche to say, but at times it kind of felt like therapy to me, when, you know, you're sitting there and sometimes you just need someone else to say the most obvious things in the world to you in order for things to click for you. So I appreciated it for that. I'd recommend it for people who maybe, you know, might be struggling, might take solace in reading about this type of subject. But I would say make sure that you've got a bit of space between yourself and whatever it is that you're going through. I think if you pick this up right away, it's kind of gonna be quite an emotional roller coaster. But yeah, so those are kind of my thoughts on that. My God, I've been talking for so long. I'm so sorry. I feel like I probably haven't really said anything that was that important with that. But I am just going to take it chill for the rest of the evening now. I am probably going to read a little bit more of Tomie later on, because I am working on doing a review of that, and I also have like an idea for a certain video later on in the year that I'd like to do, and I really need to refresh myself on that because I really didn't appreciate that story when I initially read it. And I'm just probably just gonna watch YouTube or watch something on Netflix and chill. So yeah, I will check in with you tomorrow, and hopefully I will get my video done in the morning. So yeah, I'm gonna be having like a fairly early night because I'm gonna be up at 6:30 to start recording. So that's my day, that's my weekend plans. Talk to you in the morning. So the first hot mess update of the day is that I got all the, well, not all the editing, I got the rough edit of the video that I filmed this morning done, meaning I've sliced out all the dead air and all the times that I paused or times that I put down one book and picked up another one. So I was able to remove 15 minutes worth of footage from just doing that alone. I'm probably going to continue editing that until it's finished because I don't know if you can hear, but my neighbour's kids are actually outside playing at the moment, and I don't like sitting in my room when they're out there because it's basically like I'm sitting in their garden with them. It's so loud. So yeah, I can't really concentrate very well. But as a reward for being productive this morning, I decided to get myself some lunch and get myself some snacks. So I'm gonna have that now. So for lunch, I got myself a lovely spicy chicken fillet roll. I'm so excited. I love a spicy chicken fillet roll. I also got these mini cheddars, which I'm totally obsessed with. We used to have these here years and years ago, but then they just went off the market randomly and now they're back, and I'm just reliving my childhood one bite at a time. And then I got a chocolate croissant, which I'm gonna be honest, I got it before I decided on getting a chicken fillet roll, and I got some Fanta lemon because it's the summer, I deserve it, and oh man, like Fanta lemon just tastes like the summer. It tastes like summer holidays to me. So yeah, that is the current update. I'm gonna go gorge myself and I'll check in with you once I'm finished my editing and actually reading. Hey, so I'm just gonna pop on quite quickly to give you a little bit of an update. I'm gonna be getting back to my editing now because I still have a good amount of sound editing to do before I can post the video tonight, but I just wanted to let you know that I have started The Great God Pan. I've read The Great God Pan, the short story, which was 65 pages long, and then I've also read the second short story, which was called The Novel of the White Powder, which was like 20 pages long, I think. So I have to say both of them were absolutely splendid, but specifically The Great God Pan, like I fucking loved it from start to finish. And I thought I had it all figured out, and there was a little bit of a twist at the end, and I was like, ooh, okay, I wasn't expecting that, but fuck it, let's go with it. So I have to say, like, the writing, the quality of writing is just superb. The writing is a little bit flourishy, but like you can forgive it because it's done really well. For example, on the second page, he's using words such as phantasmagoria, and I'm sorry, if you're gonna hit me with phantasmagoria straight off the bat like that, I know I'm in for a good time. So basically The Great God Pan is about a woman who is rescued from the gutter by this mad scientist sort of type guy. And he doesn't come off as super batshit crazy because he's really eloquent, but like he is. And he wants to perform an experiment on her in order to cause her to have a vision to see the Great God Pan. And he enlists this man called Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark is a bit doubtful over the whole situation, doesn't know if they should be performing it, you know, he's just a bit iffy in general, but they perform the experiment. It's a success, and she has her vision, but like the description of her face when she has it, that it's just like the look of pure evil. But the thing is that her name's Mary never recovers from this procedure, and we're led to believe that like you know, we don't know what becomes of her basically. And then the story kind of travels off into this kind of mystery around a woman who is causing men to die by suicide, and it's referred to as an epidemic of suicide, and I thought it was totally fucking badass. There's also references to the fact that people are having fits of terror, and their face, like they're in shock, but their face is literally contorted by terror, and I'm just like, oh, I wonder what that reminds me of. But like, yeah, it just had everything in it that I really, really appreciated, and there was a bit of a twist at the end, and I loved it. I thought it was great. The second short story, The Novel of the White Powder, was not as good, but I still really enjoyed it. It's about a woman and her brother, and it's from the woman's perspective. And her brother Francis has basically become a recluse. He won't come out of his bedroom. Something has happened to him, something bad. And he's not eating, and he's just like existing in his bedroom. And there's just so much drama within it. I loved it. Especially when there's the scene of them breaking into his bedroom and what they see in his bedroom and all this kind of thing. It was just so over the top, but like I enjoyed every single second of it. So if the next two short stories are any good as like the first two, I feel like this is going to be a really strong short story collection. So yeah, I just wanted to let you know my thoughts on that. I really recommend it so far, so fingers crossed for me. Anywho, I'm going to get back to doing my editing now, and I'll probably check in with you later on when that's all said and done. So since it's Sunday evening, I decided just to be really lazy, and I got myself a takeaway, which I probably shouldn't have done, but sure, feck it. So I just got myself chipper. As you can see, with the mammoth size of this meal, I'm not going to be able to eat it all, don't worry. Alrighty, so I have had a bit of a day. I finally got the video uploaded that I was working on all day. Basically I had horrible issues trying to export it once I had finished editing it, and it goes to show that I'm never announcing on any social media that I've got a video coming up later today that I haven't actually exported yet, or I haven't scheduled on YouTube yet, because I feel like it was the universe trying to be like, no, we're just gonna let you like embarrass yourself. Basically it wouldn't export. It failed 4 times. I was sitting on the computer for 2.5 hours trying to get the video up on YouTube, and what happened was that like I had enough memory, but it kept telling me that I don't have enough memory. So I ended up having after the 4th attempt I turned off the Mac and turned it back on, and lo and behold it worked. So the whole turn it off, turn it back on again, like, yeah, I probably should have done it after the first time, but I don't know. But it's up, and do you know what? I was so anxious posting it, because I was like, I'm usually like this anyway. I'm usually really anxious when it comes to actually like making a video public, because I always, like, I'm my own worst critic, and I think, we all are when it comes to making videos. Like, even as I'm recording this, even like the whole process of recording vlogs, like the amount of vlogs I scrapped last year because I just thought they were boring, they weren't good enough, that no one would be interested in watching them. I am constantly telling myself that like what I make isn't good enough, or that it's, like I just always see the worst in my own content. And I always am amazed when people respond to it in a positive way, or see things or bring up things to me that I never even thought of, like that, just because I can't see it because I'm biased. So when I post a video, I'm always so anxious, and I have to wait until I get the first couple of comments and the first couple of likes to be able to have my anxiety lessen, because it's just like, I don't know, it's just that reassurance that it's like, it's okay, it's alright. And because I hadn't posted a video in such a long time, I was like, well, this isn't going to get pushed out to anyone, and if anyone does see it, they're probably just going to be like, oh, a TBR video, very exciting. But yeah, I'm really overwhelmed by the response that I've gotten from everyone, so thank you so much. Thank you for still being here. It really means so much to me, and especially when you hover over people's names now who are public subscribers, and you see some people have been publicly subscribed to me for like 7-8 years, and I'm just like, how are you still with me? Thank you so much. But like, oh my god. Anyway, listen, enough me being a sad sack and all this kind of thing. I am still cracking on with this. I have the Red Hand and the White People to still get through. So I'm on page 85, and it's been a really slow day when I'm even struggling to get read, like when I'm struggling to read 160 pages. It's like, this should be easy, but it's a struggle, and it's like 20 to 11 now-ish. It's probably a bit later now since I've started recording. I feel like I'm not going to even be able to do that, so I'm just going to try my best. Even if I get the Red Hand read, I'll be happy enough with that, and I'll finish it off in the morning and I'll check in then. Oh, that's so unsatisfying though. I want it to be done tonight. But anyway, listen, I'll stop moaning. I'll get reading and I'll check in with you and let you know my thoughts on The Red Hand. Okay, it's not happening. I've read 20 pages, and to be perfectly honest, I don't feel like I've taken in any of the 20 pages that I've really read, so I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm sorry. I feel like that's so shit. And I was thinking, like, it's so hot tonight as well. It's really, really humid. It feels like it's like August type weather, and I was thinking, I was like, that's gonna keep me awake. Like, I was sitting up until now. But I just feel my eyes are getting heavy, and if I'm not really taking in what I'm reading, there's no point in continuing reading, you know? So I'm just probably going to reread those 20 pages in the morning, and I'll finish it off then, and I'll let you know my final thoughts, and I'll wrap this whole thing up. But yeah, hopefully I sleep well. I'm just so tired after being up so early this morning. Even though I've just been sitting on my arse for most of the day, I still feel like I've done so much, but I've really done so little. That's why I'm kind of annoyed at myself. But anyway, it'll be grand. You know, once I get this done, it means that I'll have 9 unread books on my Goodreads challenge. 8? I don't know. Anyway, that's all that matters, is having a tasty looking Goodreads challenge. So I'm going to say goodnight. I'll talk to you in the morning. Hey, so I finished the short story collection, The Great God Pan, this morning-ish. So last night you could tell that I was a bit perplexed by the story The Red Hand. I was just kind of like struggling to take it in, like I said, but just the story just wasn't really making that much sense to me. Basically, it starts off with this man being murdered right away. Like, these people stumble across this dead man's body, and the weapon that was used to commit the crime is like really primitive. So initially I was thinking, I was like, did a caveman like kill this guy? Is this something to do with like time travel or something weird? No. Then there's also reference to a tablet that was found, and it's described as not of this world. And the second I read that, I was like, this is about greys. This is about greys. This is about aliens. This is going to be unreal. It's not about greys. It's not about cavemen. I was just kind of hoping for the best. I'd say it was probably my least favourite story in the collection, just because it was a bit blah. Like, the reveal at the end wasn't super exciting, and it was, to be perfectly honest, it was predictable. Like, I was jumping all over the place with like what could have possibly killed this man, and you know, like, it was just like a mystery story. And I think because like the first two were also like similar enough, of like, they're just mysteries. It's a group of people trying to unravel the story behind this death. I was just kind of like, I don't know, it's just, it wasn't the strongest in my opinion in this collection. And then The White People, which is a story that I'm familiar with because I know that there's another Penguin collection called The White People and Other Stories, and I'd been interested in that, but when I was reading it, like, first of all, it was kind of like a story within the story. It was like, one of the characters ends up reading this book, and then you're just reading from the book for a while, and then it jumps back, and I was like, oh my god, I completely forgot that this character was actually reading from this book. But it kind of read like a fever dream. It was like, there was kind of like folklore, there was like culty stuff going on. This character is making little wax dolls of people and cursing them to die a certain way, and then, you know, they die a certain way. So I thought that was a really cool aspect, but like, it was just kind of walls and walls of font. There was no paragraphs for the most part. It was just like 20 straight pages of like a full page of font, and it was like a little bit overwhelming to read, and it was a little bit hard to kind of keep track of what was going on because it was kind of jumping from one thing to another. It basically, the book that the character is reading from is written from like a 16-year-old girl's perspective, and she's talking about her nurse and like the stories that she used to be told as a child. And some of them are interesting, some of them are like fairly creepy and stuff, and I liked the like little bits of poetry that were used throughout. I thought those were quite effective, but I'd say that The Great God Pan and oh my god, what was the second story called? the novel of The White Powder were my two favourites from this. And yeah, I think like it was definitely the wrong time of year to read this as well. Like as I was reading The Great God Pan, I was like, I wish it was autumn. I wish I had like a nice hot drink and I was all cozy and that it was like raining outside and real grey, not this like abundance of summer that's happening outside as I'm like literally sweating like a hog lying on my bed. It's definitely one that I'd recommend for an autumnal read. But I'm really happy that I read it, and I really enjoyed The Great God Pan, the short story itself. Like I said yesterday, I'd recommend it to anyone, especially if you're looking for like a quick burst of horror. Like short story collections are always great, especially if you're a bit impatient and you don't want to have to spend 100 or 200 pages reading a book before it starts getting interesting. Even I'm getting a bit overheated, but yeah. So that has been my weekend reading vlog. Let me know if you like shorter reading vlogs, even though I know this isn't going to be very short, but like if you prefer like a weekend one or a weekly one, because I know the last time I did one, I did it over the space of a week, and yeah, I feel like I could get more books in like the next time rather than just like these 3 short books. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it wasn't dull or anything like that. Let me know your thoughts overall. Let me know what you've been reading this weekend, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.